Hi, I'm Brian Eisenhower, and I'm here with 3 top producing agents, and we're going to talk to you a little bit today about listing presentation scripts and dialogues. And what I want to start out with is when you first show up to a listing presentation, you've got an appointment, you come to the door, how do you guys start that out?
Well, my listing presentation really starts all the way back on the initial phone call in preparation to go meet them. I'm on the phone, I set the appointment, and then I say to them, just kind of setting expectations. So I'll need about an hour of your time. It might take a little bit longer than that, but while I'm there, once I come in the front door, what I want to do is I want to go through the house with you, and I'm going to be looking at this from the eyes of a buyer. So while we're going through the house, if there are things that I see that need to be updated or fixed or repaired, I'm assuming that you would want me to be very honest with you and tell you those things. And they'll usually go, oh yeah, that's why we want you to come over, okay. So I guess what I hear you guys saying is you want me to be really honest with you when I come over to their house. Okay, yeah, sure. So once I come over to the house, I get inside the front door and I say, now, when we were on the phone, Brian, you said to me you wanted me to be really honest with you when we're walking through the house. Is that still what you want today? Yeah, sure. Oh yeah. So I'm getting an upfront contract to basically say anything I want about their house at that point.
Yeah, you get their buy-in, you remind them of that buy-in.
Yeah.
So the option of you being rude or having to tiptoe around issues, that's covered.
Yeah, exactly. So it's basically just like an upfront contract to walk through the house. I'm going to say, I know what buyers are going to be looking for because my team works with hundreds of buyers. So I'm going to give you some strong suggestions of what's going to help to sell the house faster and at the highest price.
I love it. So you can get right to looking at the house.
And my script would be, knock, knock, knock. Hi, it's Carolyn. We had an appointment at 5 o'clock and it's 5 o'clock. Just to remind them that I am on time. I have had a client say, oh my gosh, you're the only agent that's actually been on time. And so that will win you a brownie point right off the bat.
Absolutely. No, I think it is important to show that you're prompt, you're timely. It shows someone who is attentive to their needs too. And it's shocking how many agents do show up late to that too. So it points out in those competitive listing presentations that you were after and on it. So I think it's great. It's very important to do.
Well, mine's very similar to Carolyn's in that I go up and I knock on the door, but I always try to be 5 minutes late.
5 minutes early.
Early, yeah. 5 minutes early, yeah, 5 minutes early. Because it really gives me a good way to break the ice, because when they open the door, I'll say I had, it's 5 minutes till 7, our appointment's at 7, and when I grew up, my dad told me when you're early, you're on time, when you're on time, you're late, and when you're late, you're just simply disrespectful. And they do, they'll thank me for getting there, and then I'll go into that.
Yeah, no one likes it. Even someone who's chronically late, they don't like a person who's late.
But it's a great icebreaker is where I was going with that.
I agree, especially if you're actually competing in a listing for a listing with Carolyn. You're actually 5 minutes ahead of her. Okay, so Carolyn, you walk in the front door.
Yes.
How do you look at this house?
Well, I'm going to try not to look at the house with the client with me. So how I kind of control that is I'll go look for a table to sit them down at. I think sitting at a table is very important. And I'm actually going to position them to where I'm going to sit at one end and I'm going to put them in the same line of sight to me. So the husband and wife, if that's the case, would be sitting so that I can talk to them both at the same time and not have a ping pong or a tennis match going on, because that's very disjointed when you're trying to speak to them about the comparables or what they should offer the home for. And then I'm going to sit down a little information sheet about this to have the seller fill out their name, address, phone number, and then get their permission that I'm just going to run through the house quickly while they fill this out. That I'm not necessarily getting all of the details for the flyer, we'll get that later, but I want to see the house through the eyes of a buyer and then just gauge what level of updating it has and if it needs any major repairs that would keep us from selling the house. And generally people will go along with that. If I can't get out of it, that's fine if they're insistent on coming with me, but it might save me a little time.
I think that's great. You give them something to do too by letting them fill out your information.
Exactly.
That way too. Great. Ken, how about you?
Well, I really like the people to go with me. I guess I'm strange because I just love to have them with me and talk.
Yeah, you
It
like
helps me
people. Yeah.
build rapport. I might even hug them.
That's
But what I'll go through, I'll say, if you'd like to go through the home with me, what I'd like for you to understand is on a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being most honest, where do you want me to be?
I want a 10.
Yeah, that's funny. That's what a lot of people say, but many say 11. They want me to be an 11.
Sure.
So I'll go through and I'll tell them, look, I'm not looking for you to move any walls. I'm looking at things that you can change easily, that are going to make you sell your home faster and provide you the best ROI.
I love it. I love it. Those are great scripts. Okay, so now you've actually looked through the home, and we're at a point where we're actually getting ready to sit down and start talking turkey a little bit. Okay, so how do we actually transition from viewing the home into sitting down at the table?
Well, like Carolyn, you want to be at the table in the kitchen or in the formal dining room. You definitely don't want to be in the living room. It's
Right.
just too awkward. You're talking across the room. You can't show them anything if you need to.
I remember some of my worst listing presentations were in a very comfortable setting where everyone's spread out and they're just endless awkward. There's
You
no
need
way
to
to
be
actually
close.
get
You
in
need to be up
Right.
close in the kitchen, that kind of thing. So basically, I'll sit down at the table and put my stuff on the table and say, now guys, I have a lot of information that I can show you here today, but I want to start by asking you, what questions do you have for me today? And I really only started doing that about a year ago because my coach said you're wasting way too much time and people don't really care about all the facts and figures and things that you want to show them. They just want their questions answered.
I
So
think
that saves me a ton of time right there.
I think that has become downright revolutionary in real estate, to get out of that litany of going through your value proposition. Here is all my marketing items. Here's my bio. Here's my listing inventory. Here's me. Tell.
I've actually had listing appointments before where they had 2 questions and they said, okay, well, what do we need to do now?
Exactly.
And you just saved yourself 30 minutes.
How about you guys? I know you guys are of the same ilk.
Well, and what I ask them when I sit down is, besides price, is there anything else you really need to know?
There you go, getting right to it, asking questions.
Right.
What do you guys need?
Exactly.
Right.
And if they do need something, I do have the documentation there that I can refer to.
Right.
Sure, I think that's important. You do have the materials there that would make up your value proposition, kind of keep it in your back pocket if needed. Not all of it though. You could just refer to specific parts if they have questions about.
Exactly.
Carolyn.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna re-review the seller motivation first, make sure I'm on the same page with both parties, or however many parties there are, as to what their motivation is to sell. If you talk to somebody and set the appointment on the phone, they may be really excited about the move, but in reality, the spouse or other family members may be really down about it. And if you come in with too much energy about, oh, isn't it so exciting, you're moving to California, and everybody else is upset about it, you're alienating them. So you wanna make sure you're mirror and matching the spirit of the move. And then we'll move on to comps from there, and usually it's sign the contract, and I very rarely have to pull out that book of goodies to go, this is who we are, and this is how much real estate we sell. It's not about that anymore. It's about them, their motivation, and getting it priced right and getting it on the market.
Absolutely.
I agree. It's always going to be one of those 3 things: pricing, timing, or the condition of the house. It's always going to be one of those 3.
Right.
I love that. I love how we're getting into questions right away. It comes from curiosity. It comes from contribution. It shows you care about them, and you're not in it about just all the things you do. And I think that really separates agents that do that. It shows that you're getting right to what they need. And if you don't do that and you go into telling, they're having a hard time listening because they have these needs that are just not being addressed. They're not really listening to you anyway.
Sure.
Right.
So I
If
think
you
that's
just ask
great.
them what they want to know, they just get it out of the way
Right, and you can get right to moving into action, which is listing the home for sale. Guys, thank you so much for your time today. We really appreciate all your tips on listing, presentation, scripts, and dialogues.